What's up, One Voice? Y'all wondering what the hell is this black girl doing on my screen on a Saturday afternoon or morning, Sunday, whatever. I had so many mimosos or whatever I had at the pool party yesterday. Excuse me, Sunday. It's Sunday, y'all. It's Sunday. So you're probably wondering, why am I on your TV, on your screen this Sunday? Well, we have a special topic that we definitely need to talk about that is taking place here in our state. As you guys always know, that One Voice is the place to where we always like to address community issues, and if it's something that we feel like everyone needs to know about, we will do special stuff like this. So I want to take the time to introduce our very, very good friend, a very good friend of mine. I met her on the campaign trail 2 years ago, and we just hit it off from there. So please, introduce yourself.
My name is Lauren Subcheck, and I am an organizer with Missourians for Alternatives to the Death Penalty. We are the only statewide organization in Missouri working specifically with folks on the row, providing them advocacy from both pre-trial level all the way up until the 11th hour. So right now we're working on a campaign for Mr. Ernest Johnson, who's a Black intellectually disabled man who's been on death row since 1994.
94. So how much of that can you give us more details on, the case of from beginning to end, what happened, what took place?
Sure.
Can you fill us in? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, people are nosy. Over here in One Voice, who are our followers, they want to know all the juicy, good tea.
Yeah.
So you got to really give it to us.
Well, I think it's important to start then, when we talk about issues of the death penalty, we have to talk about systemic issues facing the Black community of those on death row. And, we know that Black people are over sentenced and harsh sentenced, especially with the death penalty. And Mr. Johnson's case is no different. Mm-hmm. He's also intellectually disabled, and he has been since he was a child. And so we'll start with his childhood. Really, he was born in Pemscott County and grew up in Mississippi County. His parents...
In Missouri or in Mississippi State?
Missouri, so okay. Mississippi County.
Where is Mississippi County?
In the Boot Hill.
No wonder I don't know. I don't think a lot of people know.
Yeah. And so... that area was very well known for having racial terror lynchings during the time of Reconstruction. And Mr. Johnson's father, in a lot of the paperwork after crimes are committed, investigators go in, mitigators go in, and they interview people. Well, Mr. Johnson's father described himself as a sharecropper. So Mr. Johnson, Ernest Johnson, his whole legacy as a Black man and a Black person with an intellectual disability is tied to the legacy of racial terror and racial terror lynching. And we know through lots of documentation that the same counties where prevalent racial terror lynchings occurred in the state is where we see death sentences being given currently. And so I always like to start there because we have to set the context that the death penalty is tied to lynching. It always has been and will continue to be.
Can you break that down? Because can you break that down for us of how that connection is?
Yeah, sure. So, for example, in Pemscott and Mississippi counties, there's 4 or 5 known racial terror lynchings between the time of 1877 to 1950. Of Black persons. And then in Columbia, in Boone County, where the crime occurred, there's 2 or 3 known lynchings. And all of that has been documented through the Equal Justice Initiative out of Montgomery, Alabama, who set up memorials for lynching victims across the country. And they work in particular with us at the Community Remembrance Project of Missouri, where we try to set up these markers, but also work with the community to work on restorative justice and educating the white community in particular about their history, and so that they can learn and try to start to dismantle some of that white supremacy in themselves, while also working on racial justice for these victims of lynching.
Yes. So what she's pointing out is the history of the lynchings and death penalty. After Reconstruction, several southern states immediately passed laws that specifically targeted former slaves, vagrancy laws, unemployment laws. And then, of course, about the Black Codes and Jim Crow. And then they used that to to a disproportionate rate target and sentence Black people, and to they formed like a whole new legal system to entrap.
Right. Which is
you ever watched that documentary 13?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So let me ask you this question, because I know some folks are going. Let me do this. The views of E.Millz and the crew does not reflect One Voice Radio. Don't come in my goddamn inbox. Don't come in Lauren's inbox. Just don't do it, because we are here providing information. And if you don't like the information, just turn it off. But don't come in my inbox asking me, well, why did I do this? Why did I do? None of your goddamn business. You should get involved to find out. So there's my rant on that. So with that being said, what do you, because you're a tiny white woman, fighting this big fight. So what is your rebuttal to people who say, but you're a white woman? Mm-hmm. Why would you care about this?
So it's not so much about my own path and my own unlearning and work as an ally or work toward justice overall. We know there's two justice systems in this country, one for white folks and one for everyone else. Mm-hmm. And so what do we do in the meantime to get us to a place to see each other as human beings one-to-one? Without that, we know that we need to work in a way toward abolition, and so that we can get to transformative and restorative justice. That's what's going to free us. That's not going to happen if we utilize and continue utilizing the systems of mass incarceration and the prison industrial complex. And so we continue to seek out these systems when crimes happen and when problems happen in our communities, and every community, the Black community, the white community, everybody keeps going to this system that's hurting us. And so the death penalty is just one tiny part of it at the very top. And by working at chipping away that one piece, especially in a state like Missouri where we're actively executing, we can open the door to imagine if the folks working on the death penalty could somehow now work on cash bail issues or, juvenile sentencing or these other issues of wrongful conviction. All of those are wrongful convictions. And we like to call wrongful conviction an innocence thing. Well, it's more than that. The death penalty is a wrongful conviction for most people.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question. And you probably be like, Alicia, why? Mills, why? But this is the thing. So, and especially in the African American community, you'll hear a lot of us, because I'm even guilty of saying it. Well, he harmed children, or he harmed the elderly. Yeah, they need to go ahead and put him on death penalty, because if not, if we find him on the streets, it's gonna exact the same thing is gonna happen. So when you hear those type of things, for someone who was like, what, nope, they really need to be there, but you still have a job to do to fight for their. Where do you draw the line?
I think you're getting at two really important things. One is talking about justice, and one is talking about whether or not the death penalty is a deterrent to crime. The death penalty is not a deterrent to crime. Murdering people who have committed crimes, such as, raping children or hurting women, that's not going to stop other people from doing that same thing. Mm-hmm. We need to be preventative in our measures of getting access to health care, access to, housing. All of these things are actually preventative to someone possibly going to death row.
Access to mental health services,
all of that. Another thing about Ernest's background is that when he was growing up in Mississippi County, he was in the 60s, I believe, is when he was in school. He was in a segregated school. So he didn't have access to the proper care that he needed as a child mm-hmm. with an intellectual disability. And meanwhile, the whole time, his family also suffered under this issue of this racial caste system in this country, which was to say they came from sharecroppers, they came from the legacy of slavery. So you're talking about racial capitalism issues too, on top of just, racial injustice as well. And he was never afforded the kind of care he needed as a child all the way up until young adulthood. He developed a drug addiction. He wasn't getting the aid he needed at all when the crime was committed. So all of these things are preventative measures in our society that actually deter crime. The death penalty does not. And another thing that happens too is, you know, a lot of people think, oh, they should get the death penalty. They deserve the same eye for an eye, whatever. Well, they're forgetting that other half of that sentence. It makes the whole world blind. And we oftentimes see families who are okay with the prosecutor seeking out the death penalty for a person end up being re-traumatized for decades while waiting for this murder of a justice. And it's murder. It's just state-sponsored killing.
Well, because Missouri is one of the states that is one of the few, I should say, that does have the death penalty. Mm-hmm. Correct? Yeah. So, wow. But you know, it doesn't surprise me because Missouri was one of the last states to be free from slavery as well.
Yes.
So that doesn't surprise me at all whatsoever. But what is very, very interesting to me about all of this is we've never heard of it. You know, we've never heard of Ernest, never heard of his situation, never heard of it. So why do you think these type of cases or stories are swept underneath the rug?
I think when we look at the death penalty or persons who've been affected by long-term sentencing, mm-hmm. or those who are wrongfully convicted and are innocent, or those with any kind of sort of wrongful injustice happening to them, we don't focus on the systemic issues. The media doesn't oftentimes focus on the systemic issues at hand. And so we're just consistently told this crime happened, this horrific thing happened, we need the death penalty, or we need long-term sentencing, we need this. Well, we're forgetting about talking about racial injustice within sentencing. We're forgetting about jury bias. We're forgetting about all these other systemic issues in every case, you know, especially for Black people who are dealing with a dual justice system. And so it's easy to forget these systemic issues when all we're being told is, look at this horrific crime that happened 30 years ago, 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And people want to focus on the salaciousness of that crime versus how is it impacting Ernest's family? You know, how is it impacting the victims' families?
Right.
You know, and nobody wants to
address that. Yeah, I can. It's like it's a never-ending cycle. You know, just like the prisoner pipeline, mm-hmm. you know, situation. And I will, since we're talking about Missouri, the whole prisoner pipeline is if you go to St. Joseph, Missouri, right? And it is blatantly visible because right across the street from the penitentiary is a high school. And it's just like, what? Like, why is this, even possible? Mm-hmm. But literally right across the street from, you go down, I think it's so one side of the prison is Massany, and then the other side is Farron. So if I'm not mistaken, if you go straight down Farron, there's a penitentiary, then right across the street, it's a high school. So it's like, how do we, start, addressing, those issues? But it wouldn't be me, if I didn't, give how I really feel about the death penalty in certain situations. And I'm going to speak my truth on that because that's what we do around here. I honestly do believe that in certain circumstances with certain things, no, people should not be, on death row, the death penalty. However, I do believe that if someone who's done, let me say this, I'm gonna be very, very clear about this, who's done went through all the mental illness things and done did, every X, Y, and Z, everything underneath the God's green earth that they can possibly do to cure this person. And then this person just says, you know what, I'm going to walk into a daycare and just kill every baby and every, worker in there. I honestly, and this is just the the views of E.Millz, that I believe that type of individual does need to be, on death row. And that's because we exhausted if it was a fifth and we lived in a perfect world, but we don't. So I honestly believe that sometimes that is the only measure, for certain folks, that no, you do not need to be, even if you're just on death row for the rest of your life and just, scare the mess out of you, but not necessarily, execute you, but leave you there, to think about it.
Well, then life without parole should be the alternative, and that's the narrative then. Because if what people... Now, I'm a firm believer that victims should be involved in the kind of sentencing, right? But they need to have the proper education about what alternatives they have, what solutions they have through that process. Because oftentimes victims of crimes are never given the support they need from the prosecutor's office, from Health and Human Services. They're not. And they're severely underfunded, and I know that. And instead, what they do is they falsely promise families and individuals of these types of crimes, well, we'll just get the death penalty. That'll be justice for you. Well, guess what? That person is going to face lifelong trauma from that crime. What are you doing about that? Yeah. And so if the alternative is life without, which is what we do most of the time. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Most of the time when these types of things happen, people are given life without parole. Right. So why is it that we have 20 people on the roll? It's purely political, and it's consistently used during political season.
Oh, let me say this. Now you break that up. At the height of my career, I'm telling my age, but when at the height of my career, many moons ago, when me and the other Miller girl worked over at Acorn. And one of the things that we started noticing was when individuals would get in trouble and would go to court during political season, they would get more time than after the political season was over. I will use my own family, for example. So we had an individual in my family who was looking at a really, really, long time in jail. And we kept telling his lawyer, his prosecutor, no, do not go to trial right now. And it was like, why? I was like, it's the governor's race. They're going to make an example out of him. Mm-hmm. Do not go to trial right now. Wait till political season is over. They're like, but that's another 2 years. I don't care. Wait, because what's going to happen is he's going to receive more time because they have a point to prove. Because we all know during political season, it's, I'm hard on crime. Here, let me show you. Like the former prosecutors, that's what they do. Like, let me crack down and just go after any and everybody. Yeah. And
a lot of these former prosecutors become judges.
Yes.
Become senators.
This is what a lot of people don't understand, especially about the state of Missouri. Those judges, we put them there. We vote for those judges. And a lot of people don't realize, and I tell people all the time, every election is extremely important, mm-hmm. but however, those local elections are way more important than those national elections that we follow or pay attention to, because guess what? Here in the state of Missouri, we put those judges in office we're voting. If you don't go out and vote for that judge, and that judge only receives 2 votes, and those 2 votes are people who are diehard, I can say it, are redneck honkies who just don't care about what's going to happen to people that look like me, so we put those judges there. Mm-hmm. And then I'm also going to say this, and I might have just shot myself in the foot for a great opportunity, but I got to say it. We as the Democrat Party needs to start stepping up and start having, they don't necessarily have to have their foot all the way in, but by as powerful as the party is, they can start, being the catalyst of having those conversations on what it looks like. Mm-hmm. They're always talking about how important it is to go vote. You know what I'm saying? So why are not the Democrat Party, the Republican Party, whatever party it may be, is really pushing, for for that particular race, for the judge races, or the prosecutor. Well, we definitely see the prosecutor's race because that one is always the one that shines the light the most. No, what about those judges? We don't, and I don't know, and I'm telling my age again, but there was a Judge Reed, who was here in Kansas City, who literally had a 180 on his tax because anyone knew who went in front of him automatically knew that you were going to receive 180 days. And he was proud of that. Had it on his license plate, but by the grace of God, the man retired, and a lot of people don't have to deal with that, but he was a no-nonsense judge, though, but why he was there for so many years is because no one paid attention to that his name was on the ballot, and he would get like 2 or 3 votes, and boom, there voila, he was our judge.
Yeah, so, I mean, that brings up a good point, too, because there were people on the legal side of things involved in Ernest's trial and appeals processes who became judges, who became, higher up within the political, sector, who used their time as prosecutor to go after higher positions of power. Yeah. And that's very frequent. It happens all the time. But you asked for me to drop some tea. Another thing about Ernest's case that I think is really important is he was not the only person involved in this crime. There were 2 other people involved in this crime of the robbery that happened and then the subsequent, 3 murders that occurred of Mary Bratcher, Mabel Scruggs, and Fred Jones. Those were the victims in this case. Go ahead, please.
Oh, never mind. No, that was my phone. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, these 2 other people were. Ernest had a girlfriend at the time who broke up with him that same day. Those are her kids, and they went with Ernest to commit this crime. They were all smoking crack. They were all heavily drinking, and he's not the only person that was involved in this. However, he is the only other person that is known to have an intellectual disability. And that speaks volumes about who got, sentenced fairly and who didn't. And he's the only one that received the death penalty.
No one else. What was the other folks on the case? What did they receive?
I don't believe they received anything.
Really?
Yeah, I need to go back and check on that, but they're.
So when it all boils down to this, who can change this situation?
So right now, Ernest has until October 5th. October 5th is the execution date for Mr. Johnson. He's exhausted all of his appeals at this point. The Missouri Supreme Court denied his request for relief last week, and so it's in the hands of the governor at this point.
Can I get a Light Lizard Award for the governor, please? If you could. Yeah. If you could work on that for me, that would be super dope. So,
by the way, I was telling Lauren that we went up to demonstrate. We went to the rally for healthcare, healthcare for all, and I can speak a little bit about that because we were there. And here I am talking about no, I'm not. You can't get me to do anything organizing. And these 2. That one over there, and Wesley Reed drug me to this rally. It was like, look, even though, you're not doing anything, but at the beginning of this, you played a really, really big part and role in, getting it to where it is now. So you have to come. So we'd go and the building that we goes to, we knew that the governor was in there, and he would not come out whatsoever. Yeah. My thing is this. Because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, he represents us. But, don't represent us and you're going to be a punk. Don't represent us and you're going to be a pussy and not want to address, the people who are there, in front of you. Find the worst one, please. So that's just, so that is, it's just heartbreaking. Like, that's one thing I can say about Eric. He didn't give a damn. He was like, yeah, I cheated. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I got my wanker whacked. And that's just what it is. At least he wasn't, yeah, at least he wasn't, at least he didn't sugarcoat it. At least, he denied it, but every man denied cheating in the beginning. Every man does that. But one thing he did not do, he didn't run and hide. That he did not do.
And I can respect that.
A lot of the Missouri GOP members actually have a lot of respect for him because most of them are libertarians. And so they really like Greitens.
Yeah.
I don't like his policies or whatever he may bring, but I like the fact that he stood on what he did and he didn't hide. He didn't hide about it.
Yeah.
Because at that point in the game, there's no need to hide. It's like he got caught cheating. You know, and once again, every man lies in the beginning about when they get caught cheating. Nah, baby, that wasn't me. I didn't do that, baby. No.
He could have been like Governor Ralph Northam.
Yes.
Who got caught wearing blackface.
Yes.
A few years ago.
Yes.
In Virginia.
Yes.
And you know what he went on to do? He abolished the death penalty in Virginia this year.
Yep.
He just exonerated the Martinsville 7.
Yep.
So here's a white man, albeit making mistakes.
Yep.
He could reparate in a way that actually matters. You know, Greitens could have done more for women in the state.
Yeah. But he could have.
No.
But, you know, if, like my grandmother would say, if was the fifth, we all be drunk. But it's not. And we don't live in a perfect world. And that's just me, you know, my antics, you know. That's just, you know. Okay, do I have my Lot Lizard? Am I ready?
Yeah, you're ready.
All right. So you guys all know, over here at One Voice Radio, especially on E.Millz and the crew, we give out Lot Lizard of the Week awards to people that we just find unjust for our community and for our state that we live in. So, with this being said, and by this being a special, our Lot Lizard of the Week award is going to go to our lovely governor. Yes. Yes. You have received the Lot Lizard of the Week award from your favorite own your very own black girl, your favorite black girl, E.Millz. You have, what is his name? You know what? I don't even forgot his name. What is his name? Mike Parson. That's it. That just tells you how much of a Lot Lizard he is to me, because I don't even remember his name. Mike Parson. Yes, Mike Parson is his name. But you know what? Let's talk about this guy here for a little bit. And another reason why he's receiving the Lot Lizard of the Week award, and I meant to give it to him a while back, but the opportunity's never really presented itself until now for me to really give it to him. So who in the hell are you to determine what I need to do with my body as a woman? For one, that's one reason why you're going to receive this from me. Two, I feel like you did such a horrible job, and this is just some opinions of E.Millz, and it does not reflect One Voice Radio, so don't have your Secret Service sitting down in front of our building, none of that, because we gangsters. You know, that's what I was about to say, Dave. We don't give a fuck about them. We gangsters around here. Bring them. So, with that being said, who are you to tell me what to do about my body, one, and then who are you to just say, you know what, I'm going to end the extra help for all these hardworking individuals who has been affected by COVID, and now it's all of the different variants, you know. And then that's two. But the third one is that you're really going to receive this. Is the reason why we're shooting this special today, is because you have the ability to save a man's life, not just any man's, but a black man's life. I tell people all the time, people don't realize that black men are an endangered species in this world, and you have the ability to change this, and by you not doing that, shame on you. So Governor Mike Parson, you have received the Lot Lizard of the Week. And we're on the road because we done gave out 2 Lot Lizards of the Week. You know, we gave one out on Friday, and we're giving one out today for this special. So yeah, so that is, but Mike, also another thing is stop hiding from the healthcare people. They gonna find you. So that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. No, it's important too, because people need to know, you know, executions happen, and that's when people respond, right? We really do get people to come out and support people when an execution is scheduled. And what we do need to be doing is saying, abolish the death penalty. It's not serving us in the ways we think it is. And you know, we can ask for life without parole. We can ask prosecutors to stop doing it, because prosecutors use it politically. Mm-hmm. You know, there's probably like 20 pending death penalty cases in the state currently that are all pre-trial right now. The most black men being tried by a prosecutor, sentenced and convicted by a prosecutor right now, is in St. Louis City under Kim Gardner. They're 3 black men.
I can see that.
And it's political.
I can see that.
And so there isn't justice for Black people and other people of color in particular within the death penalty system. There never has been. That's why you see moratoriums coming out for the federal row, but moratoriums are not going to stop executions.
No.
A lot of people thought, oh, they put the federal moratorium together. Great. They're going to still put people on the row at Federal Row in Terre Haute, Indiana. Yeah. They're going to continue executing at the state level, like in Missouri and in Texas. And so we need people to get organized and come out sooner. You can visit our website at www.madpmo.org.
Okay, wait a minute, baby.
There's a lot of stuff
Wait a minute, hold on. I'm going to tell you right now. There's a lot of stoners who watch One Voice.
Oh, cool. So
you're going to have to slow down and say it again. Say it again for them so they can catch it.
Description too.
Oh, it's in the description. Just read the description. Yes. You can go there whenever. But yeah, no, it's a great resource that we have at our website in the description. We have information about the policy issues related to the death penalty there. I know a lot of people who have been harmed want justice for themselves or their loved ones. That's reasonable. Anybody would want that. Yeah. But we don't have a justice system. We have a criminal legal system that's a dual system that's discriminatory toward Black people in particular in this country and always has been. Yeah. And the death penalty is modern day lynching. Yeah. And so when you think about all of that and you wrap your head around it, and the fact that, like, if we're going to talk about
system is modern day lynching.
Yeah, the prison. Hey, listen, I tell people all the time.
The prison system's modern day slavery.
I tell people, yes, the prison system is modern day slavery and is monopoly. Whenever it's all said and done, it is. And the thing of it is many years ago, well, not many, I would say about 6 years ago, someone approached me and asked me if I wanted to invest in a new penitentiary that they were building here in the state of Missouri. Not realizing who they were talking to. Not realizing like how politically
it's like my opinion just changed the view entirely.
Yes. Yeah. And so after that person came to me with that, and I found out that they were like really invested in this penitentiary. Like my little ornery self made a flyer and showed up at his kid's school and passed it out loud to all the parents who were showing up, picked their kids up from school, and showed up at his church, and showed up, at places they were like, oh my God, like she really did that. Yes. And the thing of it is where they wanted to put this penitentiary, you know what I'm saying, was smack dead in the 3rd District of Kansas City, Missouri. Do you see it there? No. So our organizing was extremely effective. So
sometimes you do have to shame people into it.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's pretty sad. It's pretty sad, but more than just shaming, we have to move people toward abolition and toward restorative and transformative justice. Can we live in a world without this? Can we? Like we should be able to. We can talk about it, but we should be actually doing more to get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Throwing people in jail and prison.
So tell us how folks can get active and how important it would be for folks to get active, and what do you have coming up?
So we have quite a few events coming up for Earnest. There are clemency rallies. They're pretty typical at this stage. We've held them in Columbia. We've held them in St. Louis, and now we're holding one this week, Wednesday, at Mill Creek Park at noon, with a flurry of other organizations.
What are the organizations?
Let's list them. We got Surge KC. We got Real Justice Network.
Hey, Justice!
The National Lawyers Guild, Kansas City Freedom Project, Jerusalem Farm, Swag Inc., the Community Remembrance Project Missouri, Advocates for Immigrant Rights and Reconciliation. We also have one that's not listed there. I have to update the flyer. Always working. Is Sunrise KC. So we have a lot of different groups with a lot of different focuses, which I think shows you we're all working toward the same struggle. Yeah. Which is abolition. Yeah. Yeah. And so I know that I just work on one cause, and other people work on different causes, whether it's related to immigrant rights or human rights related to their legal status or legal needs. Yeah, absolutely. Jerusalem Farms helps folks in the community just doing mutual aid all the time. Surge is working with white folks to dismantle their internalized white supremacy. Like, we can all come to the table and help and show Mr. Johnson that he is loved and supported despite and continue to ask the governor to stop this. He doesn't have to participate in this.
Yeah.
And the people, frankly, inside these prisons who are committing these executions don't have to participate either.
No, absolutely not.
And I get how ingrained and embedded the kind of ideology of COs goes, but they don't have to do this. They do not have to participate in a murder.
Yeah, no, they don't. Actually, I had got the opportunity to work down at the county jail for a while. And then I also got the opportunity to live with actually he was a deputy. And, and some of the things that, he would say, he was just like, I don't understand it. Like, why does our system have to be this way? And I think that to change some of that during the hiring process is, are we hiring people with compassion? Are we hiring people, who's going to help us look for alternatives as versus is lights out, TV's time's off. No, you can't go because you don't have money on your books. So are we placing people in there who's going to, take the time and say, hey man, what's your plan when you get out of here? What do you need to do when you get out of here? I know I'm sitting at this cubicle for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Give me some of your information. I can help you write this resume. I think that, I think those are some of the things that we need to, start at.
Yeah.
there.
And we don't have a rehabilitative penal system.
The system is about retribution.
Yeah, because I got fired from down at work. I did. I got
They'll
fired.
be quick to do that to folks.
I got fired, and I'm just like, and the reason why I got fired is because there was this older man, late 80s, soiled himself. So I would have to be at work at 1 a.m, right? And I would leave at 10.
Yeah.
When I came back at 1, he was still the same way that they, was still that way. And I was just like, what in the hell? Right? And so I was like, look, I woke his roommate up. The guy he was selling the cell with. I said, hey, come with me, to get him, shower, whatever. But the reason why I got terminated is because they said I put myself in a non-safe situation by having 2 inmates by myself in the shower. And I was thinking to myself, he is not going to harm me. For the simple fact is I took the time to show him compassion. And the other cellmate definitely wasn't going to harm me because I cleaned up, a smell that he was smelling, for 8 hours. So I provided a service for both of those men. And so in return, I kid you not, I get a call, they requested me to come back up to their floor. So I go back up to the floor and they took their commissary. And one bought me a card, and they have like these jailhouse pizzas that they make. Which is everyone loves them. They're the most horriblest thing I've ever tasted in my life.
I hear about all kinds of different kinds of ramen.
And they took to provide that for me, and I was like, no, I can't accept this because I know that you don't have. And they was the first thing that they said is, we've never had anyone who just came in and just said, forget the rules, and we're human beings, and treated us as such.
Yeah, I mean, you hear about medical neglect, poor conditions, just, right now they're, because of COVID inside prisons and jails across the state, they're facing extreme staffing shortages. So folks are not getting out of their cells as often. Yeah. There's lots more riots happening inside
especially
now.
Did anyone ever see that riot? I was watching it was live on Facebook.
I didn't see that.
The one in St. Louis.
CJC.
Yes.
Yep.
Like they were literally.
For every one riot that gets media coverage, there's like 20 more happening across the state. They just go unreported and not talked about. Because people inside are suffering. They're suffering and they're being treated like animals. And like, it's just not okay. And we're not doing anything to curb that. We're not, helping get staff better trained. We need to be passing legislation that ensures of that at a certain point. Yeah. Just like how we have protections in this country for people who are intellectually disabled, like Ernest. to be free from execution because he has an intellectual disability, we need to be passing better laws to protect other people from, undergoing that kind of harm as they're trying to serve time in a system that's not meant to rehabilitate them. And it's going to take legislation to do so.
Yeah. Well, Miss Lauren, thank you for coming to hang out with us.
Thank you. Show up on Wednesday, noon.
I would love to, but a lot of people will be so amazed that I literally work 16-hour shifts on Monday. Actually, it starts on Tuesdays and it goes. I work 16 hours on Tuesday, 16 hours on Wednesday. Yes.
One voice will be present.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we will definitely make sure that I personally will not be.
Yeah.
Because we got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
We're
going to be joined by, really quickly, we're going to be joined by Missouri death row exoneree Reginald Griffin. He was inside for nearly 30 years before they released him after he was wrongfully convicted. So he's going to be with us. And then Samantha with AIR, who's also wrongfully convicted. She's a Kenyan immigrant. She does amazing work as a team leader with AIR. And she's been horribly affected by the system as well. So we're going to bring out all of, our impacted friends to share their stories while also trying to, continue to raise awareness about Ernest and continue to ask the governor to give Ernest clemency.
Yeah, that is great. Well, I just wanted to say thank you for choosing One Voice to share this stuff with everyone. Because believe it or not, you'll be surprised of who's watching us and who will go back, because I know a lot of folks are getting ready to watch the Chiefs game. Yeah. And so after the Chiefs games or whatever, folks will come back and be like, oh wow, we missed this, and come back and watch it. Yeah. But yeah, so as far as calling the governor, is this the number up on the screen that we need to call?
So that's actually our number. Okay. You can go to our website though. That's listed in the description on here. Okay. On our homepage right now is a toolkit that you can download, as well as all different kinds of calls to the governor. We have sample phone calls, sample emails, letters, all of that. We also have a petition on change.org for Ernest that you can sign. It's garnered over 18,000 signatures at this point. We also are doing everything we can to just further efforts of abolition in the state. You can learn more about that at the website as well.
All right. Well, y'all, thank you for allowing me to invade y'all space on this Good Sunday, because we normally don't do it, and only time we do it if it's something that is extremely special and important that we feel we need everyone in the One Voice hub and community to know about. Hey, this your favorite Black girl, E.Millz. Y'all have a good Sunday.